that you just love. Uh-oh. Okay, good. It's still there. Um, I think, and maybe this is an aging thing. If we all think about how we are now, however old you are, versus how old you were, like in your 20s, or younger self to older self, and the kind of slow transition of life that you really do, things do change, right? And things reprioritize and reorganize as you get older, and hopefully grace kind of follows you along the path, no matter what. But I one of the things that I notice getting older is that I take joy in much more simple things than the striving of my younger days, where I had bigger ideas, bigger, just bigger, right? And I feel like it's like wine, it just distills and distills and distills as you get older, and we get finer, right? Like fine wine. But this poem, I think, speaks to the wisdom that comes when you start to find joy in the simpler things. Okay, so this is Joy Comes Back by Donna Ashworth. When you finally realize that joy is less fireworks and more firefly, less orchestra and more bird song, she will come back much more often. For joy will not fight with the fast pace of this life. She is not in the shiny or the new. She breathes in the basic, simmers in the simple, and dances in the daily to and fro. Joy has been beckoning you for many a year, my friend. You were just too busy doing to see. The very next time joy wraps her quiet warmth around you, as the garden embraces your weary body in its wilderness, tip her a nod. She doesn't stay long, but if you are a gracious host, joy comes back. So close your eyes and sit up straight and tall, and just take a moment to recognize how presence and gratitude kind of facilitate this kind of joy. And that when we can slow down enough and really truly appreciate the simple acts of kindness, the simple pleasures, the simple beauties, the simple joys. And when we really relish in that simplicity and are present in gratitude with this, joy does tend to return. That we can find joy much more easily. So as you close your eyes, think about something already today. Maybe it was the sunrise, or petting your pet, or having a cup of coffee, or giving your loved one a hug. Whatever already has happened in this day that has given you a moment of joy. Can you recognize it and sit with it? There are days, of course, when the alarm goes off and you hit the ground running, and there's just go, 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 do, do, do. So, especially on those days, it's important to take the time for this just momentary introspection of recognizing our blessings, seeking the joy. Move into your body now, move into your breath. Maybe that's one of the simple joys as well, is to just feel the beauty of a breath, how easy and nice. Maybe your breath is a little tight or a little restricted, but just the simple act that we can breathe unencumbered. Can you melt your body a little bit? Are your shoulders softening? Is your face softening? Can your palms relax? You release your hip flexors and let your legs descend a little bit more. Is there a buoyancy to your spine so that you both have a sense of ease, but also a sense of space? You bring your hands together. Let's find an intention, whatever you're cultivating, whatever today is about for you, whatever your needs are. But see if you can sprinkle in a dash of noticing joy, noticing blessings. All right, let's release your hands down and find your way onto your back. All right, so as you stretch out and lengthen in your body, something so simple as just lying down can bring a lot of joy. Um, it's a sign of I am resting now. There is ease in it within me or available to me. So before we start moving, let's find that. So let a mini shavasana happen where you kind of come to presence with yourself in a state of dropping, where you feel your head release down, your limbs release down, getting just a teeny bit heavier and feeling that back body connect with the ground. From this place, breathe deeply and see if you can suspend, the doing mind. Whatever's coming later, it'll come in its time, but this time is just for you. And then reach the arms overhead and find that joy of a stretch. Boy, talk about simple joys. To me, this is one of the simple joys, is just this stretch. Okay, so reaching the right side, reaching the left side, just opening up your spine, your shoulders. All right, and then draw your knees into your chest and rock around a little bit of sway. Hang on to the knees and let's circle, kind of rolling in one direction, rolling in the other. Just enjoying, finding a sense of softness across your sacrum and in your hips. And let's open up the knees away from the middle, bring them back toward the middle, and just enjoy whatever the sensation that arises is. All right, right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground, and feel those circles now in your ankles. So rolling each direction a couple of times, maybe a little bit of wiggling of your toes. Let the head get heavy and drop down. Soften your shoulders. Give a good squeeze to the knee and then release it and switch sides. Left knee now in, right leg long on the ground. Continue either with some circling or maybe moving into some other movements with your feet, a flex and a point or an inversion and an eversion, anything that kind of wakes up all the sensation in your feet. All right, and then stretch out your body to a star on the ground, reaching your limbs really wide, all the way to your fingers, all the way to your toes. And then exhale and draw your knees in. Pick up your head. And let's do that twice more. Big, open, spacious body. Exhale, drawing in knees to chest. One more time, feeling the expansion, the opening. Exhale and draw in toward the middle. Put your head on the ground, arms straight out like a T, feet on the ground, hip width apart, and windshield wiper your knees. And let's just enjoy a little bit of opening the spine and some twisting. And then come to neutral, feet hip width apart. Lift your hips up, scoot them over to the right, bring your knees up and drop them to the left. A twist open here, and let's start to open across the shoulders. So turn your head to the left as you slide your hand down next to your hip, and then turn your head to your right as you slide your hand on the ground, lifting it over your head. And whatever, just go back and forth with this, turning your head as you move through your shoulder, and just enjoy that, half snow angel vibe of your shoulder and arm moving on the ground.
And then release that open in your body again, starfish out. Exhale, knees into your chest, head comes up, feet come back down. Lift your hips, scoot them to the left, knees come up, drop them to the right. Open up to a twist on this side. Turn your head. And when you feel ready, you can start sliding in that half snow angel. So I like to turn my head to the right as my hand drops down toward my hip and turn my head to the left as my arm slides up. But find any pathway that just helps you open across your chest, feeling your shoulders, range of motion that's available today. Make sure you're breathing as you're doing this. Try to link up the breath, recognize that if we want to have this sense of joyous embodiment, our breath really is a key part of that. Stretch open to a star on the ground. Again, let's roll your wrists around, roll your ankles around, maybe open and close your fists, wiggle your toes. And then draw your knees in and let's roll to the side and come up to your hands and your knees. Something so simple to just start waking up your body. And, especially if you haven't done much movement yet today, are you taking joy in the subtlety of sensation? Such a nice thing. As you come onto all fours, let's start moving our body through some cat-cows. The arching of the spine. Take notice, every little vertebrae. See what it feels like to push the ground away and round your spine, to offer your heart toward the ground and up toward the sky as you lift your tail. Just feel the full movement through your shoulders, your head, your ribs, your chest, your collarbones, your spine, your pelvis. There's a lot of things that are finding their way just in the simple act of flexing and extending your spine. All right, and then anything that you want to do. So, pay attention. What part of your body needs a little extra nourishment here? Do you need some circling with your pelvis? Do you need to work with your shoulders? How's your neck feeling? So take some time to just explore getting all those joints to loosen up, to find a little bit more mobility. Curl your toes under, stretch back towards child's pose with the feet wide open. Maybe touch your big toes, maybe even touch your ankles, but maybe not. Just see what feels good. And then come back up, round the spine, one more cat-cow. And then once you're into an anterior tilt of the pelvis, drop back into a child's pose and stretch your arms out in front of you. And you get to decide, do you want this big stretch, where we are striving forward, or do you want to melt a little bit more and really take advantage of the surrender that child's pose is? Your intentionality for every posture, and how you choose to shape your body, how you choose to shape your mind, your breath. There's different intentions create different experiences in the body. All right, let's walk the hands over to the right and feel that deep reach of the left side. So there's a lot of openness, not only in the lats and the shoulder, but in the breath itself. Coming back to center, open up through the other side and feel that reach. I think a lot of times we get very stuck in this part of our body. We don't tend to spend a lot of time during the day with our arms overhead unless we're either exercising or like lifting things up onto a shelf. So just enjoy the sense of extension through the full side from your fingers to your hip. And then come back to center, back to neutral. Let's find a twist. Reach that left arm up in the air. Exhale and slide the left arm underneath you. Gaze toward the ground. So you know this twist, but feel your breath touch every little cranny you can find. Opening up across the muscles between your shoulder blades. And then if you'd like, you can stay there, or you can face the ground a little bit more and focus a little deeper on that shoulder capsule itself. Breathing well. Reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground, switching sides, arm up. Exhale, slide that arm underneath. Enjoy what you're feeling. So can you feel the muscles between your shoulders as you breathe, between your shoulder blades as you breathe? You know, sometimes it's hard to find the back of our body, what we can't see, what we can't touch. And then if you want to, you can stay there, or you can face the ground and kind of compress into the front of that AC joint and open up the posterior capsule of your shoulder. And then now bring that arm all the way back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Find a dog pose. So as we start to come off the ground now, let's find our legs. Okay, so pedaling your feet. One more time, we can feel that energy that we felt in the beginning of opening our feet, but now maybe a little deeper, going through your calves, up into your hamstrings, to your hips. Spread the bones of your feet so we learn to get wide and broad with our toe bends. Feel the deep grounding of your hands. So regardless of whether you're pedaling feet or being still, see if you can root through your hands. And when you feel ready, find all four limbs. Root down to rise up. So a little more stillness, a little more dynamic nature of the internal movement. Melt your head and experience the sensation of inverting. Feel for your breath. Is there a part of your body you can light up a little bit more? Every posture, see if you can seek the simple joy of it. And then walk your feet forward, come to Uttanasana, a deep forward fold, bend, let your knees soften, relax your head. If you have blocks, you go ahead and put your hands on the blocks for a halfway lift, finding that extension. Let your blood pressure find some equalizing. You know, if you've been down for a while, sometimes coming half up is like the start of getting your vagus nerve to help you get your blood pressure regulated. And bend your knees, drop your hips, and lift all the way up to stand. Reaching the arms up to the sky, feeling that extension. Let's spread open your wings. Cactus the arms, feel the shoulder blades hug on the back. Exhale and round in, forearms to touch. Come on up again. Grab onto the left wrist with the right hand. Feet can be hip width apart, maybe a little wider if you need stable legs, and then reach up and over. Feel that extension through your side. And then we're going to find this through the back by kind of rounding our spine a little bit, arching forward, fist your hands. So interlace your fingers and press your fist away from you. And then roll over to the other side. So you find that side body extension here. Root through your feet. And then come all the way back up and release your hands down. Do a few shoulder shrugs or rolls here, whatever feels good. Maybe a little shaking out of your hands. Okay, let's bounce through our feet just a little bit, just kind of sensing now, you know, where your legs are. Feeling a sense of grounding, and let the bounce just give, and you know, this might feel bad in some joints, so you can always modify and lessen your bounce. You can jump if you want to increase your bounce, but just let your body jiggle a little bit so that your whole body feels this rebounding. Full breaths. All right. Come back to Tadasana. Just notice what the rebounding, if you ever have the capacity to jump for 5 minutes or so on a mini trampoline,
This is really good for a lot of the internal work of your body, your joints, your lymph, your organs, everything gets a good jostle. Just find your breathing. Notice what you feel. Rising up a little bit of a back bend, lean back, look back, see what that feels like. And then exhale and float forward. Let your back body open up now. Inhale for a halfway lift, melting and folding. Make sure your feet are at least hip width apart. You can always go a little wider. Take your hands to the back side of your skull, the base of your hands, and drop down toward the ground and pull in toward your chest. Just opening up that back line of the body a little bit more. And then releasing your hands down. A halfway lift. Slowly exhale and release down. Step back to a lunge. So our right foot's going to be in front. And so open up. And of course, if your toes bother you, you can put your knee on the ground so your toes don't have to do the work. If your knee bothers you, you can lift your knee up off the ground. There's always ways to modify depending on what joints are, what's happening in your body. All right, let's bend and straighten your front knee. Let's just enjoy. Remember to slow down, to find the rhythm of your breathing. Release your skull. What is the simple joy of this? You don't have to do fancy sequencing in yoga to really enjoy what your body's feeling. Round your legs. Inhale, come on up, reaching the arms anywhere you want so they can be up, out, down, wherever you're finding today. Breathe deeply. Feel the opening of that hip flexor of the back leg. Reach behind you. Interlace your hands if you can. Open up across your chest. Try not to smush your low back. So we're rising up and hugging the shoulder blades toward each other. Ground your feet. You can always bend the back knee a little bit more if you feel compressive in your low back. And exhale. And release the hands down. Bring your back foot forward and fold again. Notice how your body's unfolding. How maybe you're warming and loosening. Certainly getting more in touch with sensation. Inhale for a halfway lift. How's your breath? Exhale slowly to find that fold. Step back, left foot in front, right foot behind. Remember, knee down, knee up, whatever feels really good in your body. Let's bend and straighten the front knee here. Move slowly and feel that your breath is taking you for the ride. Let your breath center you into the present moment. Ready? Round your legs, feel your deep roots. Inhale, come on up, reaching the arms wherever they go today. Feeling that extension through your ribs, off your hips, ground through your feet. Feel the work of your legs. And this time, let's cactus open the arms. Feel the back body a little bit and then reach behind you. Interlace the other way, other hand on top or fingers on top. Open your chest. Try not to smush your low back. If you need to, bend your back knee to help you find that neutral placement of the pelvis. Release your hands down to the ground. Dog pose. Stretching your body back. Feeling that extension. Full breaths here. Come forward into a plank. Find that sense of pushing the ground away. The shoulder blades stay grounded on the ribs. Engage your core. All right, let's put our knees down. Find the floor, lying on your belly. A few shoulder rolls here so we know that we're mobile. Inhale, come up to a cobra pose, opening your chest.
Exhale. Melting back down. One more time, shoulder blades down. Feel the lift through the front of your body and release to melt. Come back up onto all fours. Any tension in your spine, wiggle it around to let it go. And then we're going to bring our forearms down onto the mat. You can take a block between your hands if you'd prefer. This can help you if you struggle with the palm down placement. So just kind of find your way. Inhale, lift up to a dolphin pose. So we're on our forearms, we walk our feet in. Legs are lifting, hips are lifting, shoulders are lifting, everything's lifting up. Press into the ground with your forearms, with your hands. Relax the base of your skull. See if you can hug the floating ribs into the body and lift everything up toward the hips. All right, come down and rest on your knees for a moment. Find a knees together, child's pose. Take your arms down at your sides. We're going to kind of find that again in just a moment. And this time, we're going to transition from a forearm plank up to dolphin back to a forearm plank. So again, you can have your hands hugging a block. You can have your hands on the ground, but try to have your wrists, elbows, and shoulders all lining up. We're going to start in a forearm plank. So, if you're struggling, you can always put your knees down on the ground. You can, and then maybe walk your knees further away from your chest. That's a good way to modify if it's a little too much to have your legs up in the air. Find that straight line with your body, a nice board, lots of core, lots and lots of transverse abdominals, just wrapping. And then walk your feet in and come to a forearm dolphin pose. Lift your shoulders. Push into the ground as you lift your shoulders. Find your breath. And then we'll come back one more time, walking the feet back. You can put your knees down if you need, chest broad, collarbones broad, shoulder blades on the back. So much core. And put your knees onto the ground again. Relax your arms. Give your arms a little bit of movement if you need. Child's pose. And let's come onto your back for a moment. Lying down. All right, put your feet on the ground. Okay, we're going to just go back and forth between flexion and extension here. So first, we're going to find some flexion. So arms down at your sides. We're going to do a half boat pose. Feet on the ground. Take a deep breath in, and we're going to lift the chest up a little bit, head up, and feet up. Now, if something's not okay, try putting your feet down or put your head down, but see if you can do both. Find that half boat. And then release. Take a block, and we're going to have that same energy of hugging in like we did in the Pincha Mayurasana. The hands are on the block. I'm going to get caught by my couch doing this, so make sure you have enough room for your legs to straighten and your arms to go overhead. We're going to start in a reverse tabletop. So knees are bent. You can put your feet apart or legs together, whichever feels comfortable. As you have the hands right over your chest, drop your shoulder blades down to the ground. See if you can feel that core anchoring and shoulder blade anchoring. And then we're going to straighten our legs and straighten our arms overhead with the block, and then come back in. I'm going to get stuck, so I can't bring my arms all the way overhead as you just go back and forth. If this gets to be too much, try tapping your feet down and bring your arms overhead, and then bring your knees back up instead of your legs going all the way straight and back up. So you choose your pathway, and remember, see what it feels like. And you can keep your head on the ground. You can also extra challenge yourself and keep your head up off the ground. But we're just finding that extension with a lot of stability and coming back. So you get to decide, heels down, knees stay bent, arms overhead holding the block, or legs all the way straight and then coming back to bend as you bring your hands back over. How's your breath? Stabilize toward the ground. All right, and then put your feet down onto the ground. Release the block for a moment. And we're going to lift up into a bridge pose. So ground through the four corners of your feet and lift on up. Rock onto the tops of your shoulders. Feel the fullness of your posture. Press your arms into the ground. Maybe your hands are interlaced underneath you, like we did when we were in the standing pose. Maybe your arms are just pressing into the ground. But either way, turn your palms or turn the heads and the arm bones so that you're in an external rotation. So if your arms are down, palms are up. Press your arms into the ground. Feel the 4 points of your feet. Ground your legs. Keep a softness in your neck. Breathe deeply. So much engagement in your legs, your glutes. And then exhale. And lower your pelvis back down. Find a breath here. One more time, we're gonna come up into a bridge, push into the four corners of your feet, rising up, climb onto the tops of the shoulders, externally rotate those arm bones, root into the ground with your feet and your arms. Keep your neck neutral, we're not pressing our neck into the ground. Discover your breathing. Notice if you lose sight of your big toenails, find them. And then relax and melt back down. Neutral spine, windshield wiper your knees. Let your head go in opposition of what your knees are doing. So as knees go left, head goes right. As knees go right, head goes left. All right, same twist we did in the beginning. Scoot your hips over to the left, knees up, drop them to the right. Start to find that openness across your chest. Turning head right as your arm slides down, turning your head left as your left arm slides up. And then starfish out your body. Exhale, knees draw in, round the spine. Put your feet on the ground, hips over to the right, knees come up and drop left. Slide the hand on the ground, turning your head to the right as your arm slides up, turning your head to the left as your arm slides down toward your hip. So the back of the hand stays on the ground, sliding in that arc like a snow angel. Fill your breath. Empty your breath. Enjoy your breath. And then reach your body out. One more time, a big giant star, knees in, roll to your side and come up to your hands and your knees again. Wag your tail and just release any tension in your spine, any movement that you want. Finding the breath. And then let's find our way up to a dog pose again. Feeling that deep reaching into the ground, the deep extension in the body. Again, finding the simple joys, the simple pleasures of our postures. Okay, walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Open up your back. Bend your knees as much as you want. Bobble the head. Sway. Anything that feels good. Find a halfway lift. You can put your hands on blocks to feel that extension. Open up. Exhale. And release back down. Push off your feet. Rising up, reaching the arms to the sky. Trace through the center line of the body. Pausing here with your breath.
We're gonna turn sideways on the mat and take some wide legs. Okay, so as we drop down into a deep squat, lean forward. We're just getting used to our legs opening up here. So elbows inside your knees, ground through the core, four corners of your feet. Finding that those deep roots. And then inhale and come all the way up to stand. Standing star. Okay. Find your equilibrium, find your breath. And we're going to slide the hands down toward the ground as we drop our energy and our grounding toward the earth. And then inhale to reach all the way back up. When you come down, so your feet are wide, your toes are turned out, try pressing a little bit more into the outer feet just to sense what happens in your hips and your glutes. Root into the outer feet and then inhale and come back up. One more time. I'm not saying this is how you should always do it, but for today, just feel into the groundedness of the outer feet, pinky toe edge, and then push through that pinky toe edge to inhale to come back up. This last one, feel all 4 points of your feet now. Feel that deep ground as you come down and as you rise up. Put your hands behind your head. Open up your elbows nice and wide. Okay. Finding breath, press your head into your hands just a little bit. Come back down toward a goddess, and you don't have to be super low. Try to balance your weight through the four corners of your feet. And we're going to tip over to one side with your wide elbows. Back to center. Over to the other side. Nice wide elbows. Relax your neck. Inhale back to center. Stay in that squat. Reach one arm all the way over. Elbow on your knee. Root into the feet. Come back up. Other side. Elbow all the way down. Root into the feet. And come all the way back up. And then stand straight. Turn your feet forward. And relax your body. Melt your skull. Let it dangle and bob. If you took any tension in the base of your skull, try to release that and let it go. Full breath here. Full exhale. Okay, a halfway lift. And the melting. And then a heel toeing forward. Okay, put a few of those elements that we've done together now. Let's come closer in. So we're in a squat, but we're not, hip width apart. We're a little bit wider. You can adjust the angle of your toes for your squat. And first, let's just do a couple squats. You just kind of feel, how are your knees? How are your ankles? Are you favoring one side? Just kind of sense where you're at. All right, and this next one, as we come down, first start with your elbows inside your knees, ground your feet and readjust. Are your feet and knees lining up in the same plane? Can you draw your femur bones way back? And then see what your core is available to do. You can start with your arms back by your sides, palms facing down. Think of the bridge pose. Also think of that core work we did. And then see what it might feel like to bring your arms straight out to the side. We're still feeling our shoulder blades ground on our back. And then maybe see what it feels like to reach your arms overhead like we did with that block in our hands, integrating our shoulder blades and our ribs. Relax your neck. Keep the roots of your feet strong. Okay. And then inhale. Standing star. Hands come down. Walk the feet back to neutral. Find your breath and bounce again. Okay, just a little bit of bobbing. One of the things that I think is really good, I don't know if I'm the only one that struggles with this, but my blood pressure tends to be quite low, and up-down movements tend to kind of throw me into a dizzy, kind of like I get that feeling of my blood pressure dropping. And I feel like the constant work of up and down in yoga is very good training for the vagus nerve, very good training for us to be able to adapt to different positional changes quickly, especially if you tend to be vulnerable to that. All right, pause and just notice. Does your body feel like it has, kind of found some work, found some energy? Big breath in, full breath away. And let's reach the arms up. And then exhale and lower back down. And get ready for some nice, good, long held stretches. A halfway lift, melt to full. Come down onto your knees. Bring your right foot forward. Keep your back knee down. Open up those hip flexors on that left leg. Full breath. So a lot of that, core stabilization work we've done today. Let's open up the pelvis. Let's open up the psoas. You might really enjoy just being here. You might want to climb up. You might want to have a hand up and over. You might want to twist. Just kind of find, let the epicenter of your sensation be at the front of your left hip and explore what gives me the quality of stretch that I'm looking for. So every day might be a little different. So experiment with, a little bit of different kind of moving of the torso to let that psoas find its full length. And then relax and bring your knee back. Sit back onto your heels. Let that hip flexor soften. And then we'll come to the other side, bringing our left foot in front. Now, I don't know about you, but my hips are totally different one side to the other. And it's not even like I have an injury I'm nursing. It's just they're different. And maybe that's true for you too. So pay attention and notice if when you start to find these subtleties of whatever kind of movement you're accessing to open up the psoas on this side, on the front of your right hip, that it might be a different quality. You might need to do a different thing to kind of get into the nooks and crannies of that psoas. Try twisting in both directions. Try a little upwardness of your spine, a little long forward of your spine, and just see what gives you the quality of sensation that you're looking for. And then relax and settle your hips back to neutral. Bit of a child's pose. Let's come into a pigeon pose on our right side. And of course, any other hip stretch that you'd prefer to do, reverse pigeon pose or thigh over thigh or anything that's right for your body today. But let's, again, find the simple joys of a held stretch. So as you come into pigeon pose, be mindful, squaring the hips, keeping the long spine, noticing your low back, noticing your pelvis, your hip, your knee, all the joints. So kind of check in, make sure you're stable. So the hips are square, the sit bones are fanning out, the top of your kneecap is resting on the ground. You can curl your toe under or lay it flat, but the leg is straight behind you, not out to the side. You have enough support under your pelvis and under your head so that there's a melting quality to the posture. There's nothing, you shouldn't have to grip your core to hold this posture. You should be able to lengthen through your spine and find a little bit of melting. Now, if you feel unstable, hug the knees into the pelvis instead of just yanking up your diaphragm. So see what you can do to support from your pelvis instead of from your core for this pose. If you feel more comfortable with a little core support, that's fine, but just don't have it be what's holding you together. Okay, so we want a sense of
inherent stability so that we can melt and rest into the support. Come on up and let's switch to the other side. So as you come, notice, you know, you might need something very different on this side, different supports, maybe even different pose. So whatever you're doing, whether you're on your back or in pigeon pose, we want to have the squaring of the pelvis. If you are in pigeon pose, check in with that back leg. Make sure it's kneecap on the ground. Your leg is straight back behind you. You're not sickling your foot in. You can curl your toes or lay them flat, but your femur bone is lying neutral on the ground. We're not internally or externally rotated. And the spine gets spacious as you come down toward the depths of the pose. You can put your block under your head at whatever height, or hands, whatever you've got, whatever you need. And then again, once you're down, square the hips again. Just notice, am I in a stable, grounded place? If there's any inherent sense of like losing yourself, or your joints kind of hanging, draw your knees into the pelvis, both of them into the pelvis, so that you have a support that's coming from the legs and the pelvis, instead of just gripping your back and your diaphragm. Feel a long spine and a soft skull. Rest your head on something so your neck is at ease. Keep your arms free if you can, and breathe. And this is the simple joy of this posture. The simple joy of melting, of surrendering, of breath. Let's come back out of there when you're ready. And if you're like, oh, I just love this pose, then just love this pose. Okay. So we're going to do leg up the wall pose. But I want you to first stretch your quads, because you know we did a little bit of those squats and stuff. So let's lie on our right side and grab onto your left foot and just open up through the quads here. A big breath, and then while we're doing this, think about leg up the wall pose. Is that the pose you want to do? Basically, I want you to find a restorative posture. That's the one I'm throwing out there, but ignore me and do Supta Baddha Konasana, or a supported back bend, or a child's pose on a bolster, or a plow pose, or, you know, just now while we're stretching our thighs, let's switch sides. Think about the posture that you would like to have come next. A restorative posture of your choice. I'm going to do leg up the wall pose. You can join me, or you could not. Okay. All right, so just open up those quads, tail down, pubic bone up, open your shoulder. Now, all of you are experienced yogis, so I really don't need to kind of go into the details of every posture you might choose. I'm going to be on a blanket for leg up the wall because I like to have my pelvis a little bit elevated. You could elevate it even more than that, and you could put it on a bolster with some blocks as spacers, so you can kind of dip the tail down. You can have a blanket under your head if you'd like. And if you're doing this pose, if your legs are up, you can keep them together. You can take them wide. You can take the soles of your feet together for Baddha Konasana. You can put your feet on the wall. So many choices. And then if you're in a different pose, just you do you. Support yourself in any way you need. All right, so whatever you're choosing, this is a couple of minutes in your day where you get to just experience conscious resting. So as you get into the pose, try to stay here in your mind, stay in your body. Just keep the sensing of rest. And you melt whatever's touching the ground. And you give your breath a deep rite of passage, that there's just nothing in the way. How's your breathing? Just keep identifying if you can give some more space or surrender to your body and breath. You can stay where you are for as long as you'd like, and Shavasana can arrive whenever you're ready for it. So remember that Shavasana is a haven for your mind and body. So nourish yourself with, be warm, be supported. If you need to put your socks back on, or a sweater or a blanket, if you need some support. And then, of course, you can be staying right where you are in the posture that you're in. You don't have to move if you don't want to. And as you find your way back into rest, again, feel that sense of surrender of the body, where your limbs, these parts of our body that are so responsible for action, can just let go. There's nothing to do. Feel your way into the ground. Feel your way into your breath. have a moment of awareness of melting. So consciously drop your body again everywhere. Start with your head, your shoulders, your arms, your spine, your ribs, your pelvis, your thighs, your shins, your feet, everything dropping. And then invite a big breath in. Let's wiggle through your toes and roll around in your wrists. And feel into the simple joy of a stretch. Taking your time, finding your side, and eventually just taking a moment on your side to really ground yourself, harvest your practice. To find your way to a comfortable seat. Let's take a moment to just experience how you feel in your body, in your mind, in your breath. How are you at the completion of your practice? I'm going to read this poem one more time. Joy Comes Back by Donna Ashworth. When you finally realize that joy is less fireworks and more firefly, less orchestra and more birdsong, she will come back much more often. For joy will not fight with the fast pace of this life. She is not in the shiny or in the new. She breathes in the basic, simmers in the simple, and dances in the daily to and fro. Joy has been beckoning you for many a year, my friend. You were just too busy doing to see. The very next time joy wraps her quiet warmth around you, as the garden embraces your weary body in its wildness, tip her a nod. She doesn't stay long, but if you are a gracious host, joy comes back. Let's bring our hands together and offer this sense of simple joy, simple gratitudes outward. Recognize that when joy visits you, you can spread that joy around. So share your energy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.